comments? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. And we have a surprise guest for you. You know it's not me, and I'm sure you know it's not Angela, and it's not Carla, because we have all been interviewed already. So it's somebody who is a surprise. As we are welcoming him, I would say without revealing much detail, let's describe him a little bit. And we have one viewer, so you can also take a guess who the surprise guest is. What I would tell about him, this might help a lot, is that he has been working and bringing coaching and education together for decades. He's very well known, a published author, and this is where I stop. So if you have a good, smart guess, put it in the chat box. In the meantime, I invite Carla to describe our surprise guest.
Oh, wow. This is interesting. Yeah, so this person is very passionate about all things to do with developing teachers. Also has some amazing stories to tell about life inside the classroom, the realities of it from day to day, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like to be on the ground in the life of a teacher every day. This person also talks very passionately about different techniques in education and how to engage learners, especially when they get into and beyond the teen age, when they're not so easy to win over or impress with all of your strategies and techniques, and you have to have relationships with them. And I learn a lot from this person about how to deal with older students. It's a master, I think, at dealing with older students. And also this person teaches languages. It's a language teacher.
Yeah, so. Great. Well, somebody in the audience already knows. But also, if you know, and of course you might know, based on the flyer, who our surprise guest is going to be, not much of a surprise. What do you know about him? So let us know in the chat box, what do you know about Martin Richards? How would you introduce him if you were the one standing here in my shoes? Angela?
Hi, hello. I'm trying to, sorry, I'm just trying to see if Martin is going to connect again because he has been having some trouble. So I'm really sorry about that. So can you please ask the question again? I think that Martin is joining finally.
Okay. So, all right.
We are going to add tech problems. You know how it is. We're live. That's happened. Happens in the news. Happens here.
Okay. All right then. So we are having a few comments from people who are trying to describe Martin Richards. Please give some more try and see how you would describe Martin Richards. And in the meantime, I'm going to add him to the stream. Voila. Okay. So Donna described Martin as somebody who listens from the heart and a powerful coach. And here he is. Yeah. Okay. Okay, while Martin is connecting. Okay. Oh. Okay. Seems he disappeared again.
Okay.
All right. Let's give some more time to Martin to join. This is the first time we are facing technical difficulties, which is great because this is our 5th or 6th episode. So, well done. And I noticed Donna is saying in the chat box that she learned about us from Martin. And I'm pretty much sure, Donna, you are also doing an amazing job out there in the field of education and coaching and education. And we are also happy to have you here week by week. Really appreciate your presence. And hopefully you will also join one of the live talks and tell people about what you are doing out there. So definitely we want to learn more about you as well. Okay, I will try to add Martin again. Now there are 2 Martins. Okay. Hello, Martin.
Hello, finally. Don't ask me what happened there. I'm delighted to be here.
Yes, so, and we use this time to learn about you and describe you. And we got very nice descriptions, in fact, that you are going to be able to listen to after this live talk. It was very inspiring to listen to Carla and Donna, describing what they know about you. And how I introduced you was saying that you are somebody who is really a professional with decades of experience in bringing coaching and education closer to each other and kind of introducing them to each other again and again. So my first question to you would be, and to anybody out there as well listening to us, because you might have also been in the field of education for some time. So it's also a question for you as well as for Martin. In this time, since you started in the classroom and now being the visionary who looks ahead with very big dreams and ambitions and ideas to the future of education, what is the progress that you have observed? How closer it is to educators' heart, the concept and the process of coaching now, as it was a couple of decades ago?
So summarizing a couple of decades, I think the progress is much further ahead than any of us know, because when we discover it, it's already been there. It's like learning. You discover things that are there rather than bringing something new. So a revelation for me around 10 years ago was that teachers actually coach. I wouldn't have called it coaching because I was a certified coach at that time, and I thought coaching was separate from education, but discovered that teachers, when they are talking to their students as they're young people becoming adults, when it's about that, then they are coaching. Then, of course, they can teach them about maths and English and everything like I did. But it's when you have that conversation with the young person who's becoming an adult and you're helping them to learn something about themselves, about the world around them, then that's when you're being a coach, even though you don't have the word coach on your resume particularly. Because that does see therapists, they're outside the teaching world. But teachers do coach. Once that kind of initial overlap was made, then teachers really wanted to know more about coaching here for them by training them, by giving them the opportunity to practice, then they'll be able to teach even more. As one of my, I was a mentor for a teacher. I trained him for a little bit of coaching. He didn't become a coach, he's still a teacher. He said that what he learned in those weeks of training to become more coach-like applies in the early days, getting to know them and getting to know what motivates them and how he can motivate and support them. And then he says the rest of it solves itself. The rest of it is a question of studying the subject, but they are already well motivated, and it comes from his coaching approach at the beginning of term. So I'd say we're much further along. If it was on a scale of 1 to 10, I think we are probably at an 8, but I could give you evidence for 6 and 7, like the number of people who are trained as coach, gone back staff. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I know it was a brave, endeavor to kind of answer this question of a couple of decades. But I liked when you said rediscovering something that they know already. So a question to the audience, as well as a question to you, Carla and Angela. What is it that you have rediscovered in yourself as a teacher that helped you shift? And what is it that you have seen teachers rediscovering, if you are not a teacher, in themselves? So just those moments of rediscovering something that coaching offers.
Wow, that's a really good question. I love that question. For me, I always think about creativity. I think creativity is life. And when creativity is not there, you are slowly dying. And I loved the part of working with students that always made you have to be creative. And just when you thought you'd got the mastery over the classroom and what was going on in there, some child would arrive that would throw a spanner in the works and force you to have to be creative. So for me, that was the thing that I loved about teaching, and that I kept rediscovering all the time and losing sight of, and getting comfortable as grown-ups do, getting routines and structure going, and then realizing that I've got to throw it all out the window and start again because it's not working now. And therefore, the only way that I can do that is be creative. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from being a teacher, and something that I transfer into my personal life. Is the creativity and always doing creative things. And it's not just about being an artist, and that's the obvious way to be creative, but it's also about having a creative approach to life, and to problems, and to understanding that as a human being, you have that in your toolkit all the time. If something goes wrong, just be creative and come up with solutions. So yeah. And what was the second question? I missed the second question.
Actually, it was the same question, just different viewpoints. Like, either you look at yourself as a teacher, what was that moment when you really discovered something that you know already, and you just found it, that, wow, it's there. And then you started paying more attention to it. And the other is what you observed in others. So it was very similar. And while I invite the audience to add more, what was the moment when you rediscovered something that you know already, especially soft skills related? I will also ask Martin, what was the moment for you that was the kind of a game changer when you started kind of opening your eyes and your heart and your mind to the coaching world?
Wow. Mine goes back a really long way. I think it goes back to when I was a teenager and was grabbed by some bullies. I think all schools have a few bullies in there. And I thought something horrible was going to happen to me. So they took me to a dark place that was of other adults and pushed me down some steps, gave me a punch through, and to learn what it was to be a teacher. Because this bully who'd grabbed me wanted me to do his homework. And I suddenly realized that I could help him. He'd asked me in a most brutal way. His language of asking for help was quite tough. But I was able to sit with him and help him. But I was able to talk him through the mathematics he was struggling with. And as I was sitting there, young as I was, I realized that words were more powerful than fists. I realized that sitting with someone, talking them through something was more powerful than showing them or doing it for them. And that moment was quite a saucy, juicy moment for me, but it was an aha. This is how teaching works. It can be tough sometimes, but if you can sit beside someone, even if their request is made in a most brutal way, you can make a huge difference in their lives. So that was my personal wake-up call to becoming a teacher.
Wow.
And becoming a coach. Wouldn't have known it at that time. My focus was on mathematics, but I now realize, looking back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. You are still, to me at least, you are still breaking up a little bit. So hopefully the connection gets better as we go along. But Angela, in the meantime, let me ask you if you see some comments coming in about rediscovering the learning of something or knowing of something.
Sure. Let me share Donna's comment. She says that when I allowed and encouraged the students to take more ownership of our one-to-one or small group, this came at a time when my private life was all over the place and I had to let go of trying to control everything. Which I think it's amazing that she can share that as well. And okay, Rena's saying that it's such an interesting conversation. Okay. And in the meantime, I will also like to share when was my aha moment when I started discovering that teaching was more than I was being showed when I was in school. And it was pretty much that I felt that if in my time, teachers were teaching the same way to all the students and not all the students needed the same sort of resources, the same approach from the teachers. So that made me think that maybe there should be a different way of teaching to different students, that we were not all the same, that we were not, although we were sitting in the same classroom and we might look, you know, the same in sense of that we were all paying attention. We were not all getting the same information at the same time, the same way. So that also made me think that maybe teachers could learn in a way how to approach students in a different way. And maybe that's the reason why I am so interested in how to have these conversations with teachers and students. You know, when we need to listen, to learn to listen more as teachers. And that's one thing that I learned. And that's one thing that I also started paying more attention to when I became a coach, is that listening part, how we as teachers have to listen to students in a completely different way, not to tell them what to do, not to tell them what's wrong or right, but just to offer a safe space where they can actually share how they're feeling in the classroom, what their needs are, how they need the teacher to support them. That would be my moments in life as a teacher and as a coach and also as a student.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, because what you are sharing, you and Carla and Martin and Donna, there seems to be a common thread, and that is listening and noticing. So listening and noticing something that doesn't fit, like the bully or that extra child who looks at things in a different way, or when things go all over the place, you know, in all parts of your life, you know, it kind of points at the listening, awareness, and noticing, and the pause you are taking to notice, and the pause you are taking to observe. So, Martin, what helps teachers and what helps parents to take that pause and notice and observe and listen? It can get really crowded, you know, for teachers, parents as well, with the homeschooling, you know, work-life balance. It can get really crowded and very busy, where it's even to take a deep breath is a luxury. So what helps?
Possibly by an outsider, to take that pause, someone who knows the power of pausing, and can remind them to do that. So you need to have with that teacher or head teacher or your student, to have to own the pause first and give them the chance to empty out their words, to arrive at nothing, to arrive at silence, and not fill up the silence with yet more noise from your own world. Cover what there is in that silence. And that often means managing oneself, managing the desire to come with an answer. I know teachers want to give answers, they want to help. But the biggest way of helping is to pause. So we need to be reminded to pause before we speak. Even pause before react, get in the wheel of whatever is going on. How can that happen for oneself? I think you need to experience it first. So I would hope that everyone listening here would want to be in a conversation with a coach, because I know that coaches are great at pausing, being in the moment, being the person's body, and us normally do in coffee conversations. The coaching conversation is different, and once someone has experienced it, particularly teachers have experienced it, they want to share that experience with their students or their staff, depending on where they are in the organization. So yeah, experience it and then share it.
Yes.
It's quite a spiritual moment as well. Maybe we don't need to go there just yet. I'm sure you've got a question for me, Beatrix.
Actually, I do have a question, but I also would like to invite everyone who is listening to you to ask away, because Martin has answers to questions, and do ask questions you are interested in. Do ask what interests you as a teacher, as a parent, as a headmaster, as as somebody who is curious. Feel free to use the chat box, and Angela and Carla, they will notice your questions and bring them into the conversation. So something comes from a conversation we had earlier, when you introduced the project of listening from the heart, and the logo was a heart and an ear within a heart. So what was your experience? What is it that you noticed about teachers' behavior changing when they participated in those events, and many other events as well, because you organize a lot for teachers?
Yeah. A way of, I think we all listen. We often listen, but there's another way of listening, and we wanted to show that in some way. And when I saw that the sticky out ears, so there you are, the ear has a heart shape to it, and from heart, listening from compassion with a different intention than coming up with an answer that might come from your head. So we looked at the skills that a teacher need, a parent might need, or a leader, and listening from their heart was essential. And to get there, you need to manage away your desire to be right, to know everything, to be the one who has the answers. You can see I had trouble with that. Problems from your past. In order to access the hearing that you get when you listen from your heart. And what you get is the essence of the questions you can ask. Because rather than coming from yourself, questions come from this person who's speaking. And you as a question, so they can carry on with the conversation with their self. And again, they are listening from their heart. Because of the way you are modeling listening, they will hear themselves in a different way. And you'll hear all the coach training, it's all about slowing down and turning them into questions.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Unfortunately, the connection is not that great, so I think I missed a few bits there, but I could get the general essence of it, I hope. Let's check in with Carla and Angela. Do you have questions coming up in the chat box that you would like to share with Martin?
What do you think is the number one reason why schools don't have or promote coaching in schools for all the staff, not just senior leadership, Martin?
Oh, I would change the question. I would put in the word yet. They haven't done it yet. Because I do know, and I'm probably biased, I'm a bit like a dentist, I get to see bad teeth. I get to work with schools who do implement coaching for their staff, who do implement coaching, the management team, even for the students, depending on the reason. I don't want a reason why they don't do it. I want a reason why they should do it. And that is the huge benefits that come from it. And what will help them to make that decision to bring in coaching is to experience it. It's a little bit like, I don't know what your favorite pizza is, but you walk down the road and you go past a pizza shop and it is that you have as a favorite. Once the management team have tasted coaching, they're going to understand what it is, how powerful it is. They're going to want it for themselves, but they've had it for them for everybody. And so I'm working with multiple schools where we've got the management team, head teachers, deputy head teachers, staff, students, all of whom are learning how to adopt a coaching approach to their work, whether it's Donna, I could put you in a conversation with some absolutely wonderful coaches who actually are deputy heads and head teachers, and they wouldn't even have a reason why they don't do it. They do it. And I can only hope my message is getting through the choppy connection that we have here today. It feels like we should do this again at some point, yes, with a better connection.
Yes, definitely. It needs to be heard. And we have a few, exactly a minute left. So I would leave the floor to you all to share your biggest takeaway from this conversation. Maybe let's start with Carla.
Yeah, I love that about the listening from the heart and with the heart. And I love the visual that the ear, if you put the two ears together, I will always remember that because I'm a very visual person. And if you put the two ears together, it will make a heart shape. And I'm thinking about the importance there of balance. When you're listening, you have to listen in a balanced way and listen to understand and to connect with people rather than to just respond. which we often hear, is the case, that we listen so that we can jump in and say something. But if we're listening from the heart and with the heart, we won't do that. We listen so that we can really connect with others and help them. So that would be my biggest takeaway from today.
Thanks, Carla. Angela?
My biggest takeaway is that to actually be aware that teachers have been coaching for a long time, which makes me believe that we teachers as learners as well, we should start learning a little bit more about what is it that we're doing or that we have been doing for so long, like coaching. So how can we improve our coaching skills? How can we improve our listening skills? And even how can we improve our presence and compassion towards that learning process that we're offering students? And probably as we have been talking about, not about teaching them, but facilitating learning more than anything, is something that I think that we should keep in our heads as teachers and as coaches as well. So that's my biggest takeaway. We have been doing this for a long time. And I think that coaching, having this space, liaising with Martin and with everyone in R.A.C.E is a way of actually improving our skills as teachers, as coaches, as listeners. So that's my biggest takeaway.
Thanks, Angela. And let's hear from Martin.
Well, my biggest takeaway would rather be a giveaway, and that is the best way to learn about what coaching is to be coached. Once you've done that, once you've had a conversation with a coach who what it is, what we're talking about, even though we've got a lovely visual and good words to explain it, it really is your personal bite of that pizza that goes, this is what I want. It's no good reading the recipe on the menu. It's really only from the physical experience that you can say whether or not coaching is
true. All right, so let's take it away. Let's take Martin's advice away. Let's be coached and find your opportunity to be coached. We are here for you. We are definitely going to have Martin back with a better connection to talk about C4E, which is one of the opportunities how you can get coached as a teacher. So look up Coaching for Educators, look up on the internet, Coaching for Education. You will find a lot already offered to you because we care about you as a teacher, we care about you as a parent, and let us help you with the resources, the knowledge that we have. So reach out to us and see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.